We see a boy named Jespers. He is the son of postman. Jesper is a careless, lazy, selfish and spoiled brat and always spent his time lounging in his luxurious house. His father is very upset about his son's behavior, but Jesper doesn't care about anyone. At last his father announces that Jesper is officially a postman and will be assigned in a small town named Smeerensburg. He also gives him a task to deliver 6,000 letters in a year, or he will be cut off from the family. In Smeerensburg city people were quiet and boring. They never wrote letters, so it was very challenging to make that city people write letters. When Jesper arrives, where he see cold silent town, he asks to sarcastic ferryman Moens why there is no one to welcome him, so he tells him to ring the bell in the town square so he can receive a welcome celebration. When he does so, a huge noisy fight breaks out between two clan townspeople. Turns out that the bell is known as the battle bell. The town is divided into two tribes, Krums and Ellingbos. They have been fighting each other for years. Jesper manages to hide himself in a nearby schoolhouse. He meets the Miss Alva. Once she used to be teacher. Parents refuse to send their children to school. They don't want their child interacting opposite race, so she's been forced to sell fish. She's been saving up her earnings for 5 years so she can leave Smeerensburg. The ferryman finds Jesper and leads him to his new home, the deteriorated post office, and full of snow. He was shivering due to cold weather and couldn't sleep. The next morning, Jesper goes out to collect letters but finds none. He tries to ask the townspeople for their mail, but they're too engaged in fighting and pranking each other. After few days passed, however, he don't even got one letter, so he went to Mr. Klaus, who lives far out of town. He steps inside the home. He finds hundreds of handmade toys. He hears footsteps and see big shadow. He gets scared and escape from there, dropping his bag. The boy's drawing from earlier falls out, and Klaus picks it up. Curious, one letter falls from bag and a man named Klaus sees the letter and opens. Someone drew drawing of one boy had Jesper was given that letter by. In the letter there was boy behind the bars. Jesper tries to flee from him, but Mr. Klaus stops him. He's curious about the boy's residence. The item Klaus wants him to leave is too big for the mailbox, and the yard is packed of traps, so he ends up being launched up and down into the chimney house. Just then the owner of the house wakes up, but Klaus somehow saves him. Jesper leaves the present and runs off, but Klaus stays behind to watch the boy unwrap handmade wooden frog and become very excited to play. Jesper is astonished to discover several children with letters outside his house the next morning. The youngster informed his friends about Klaus' visit, and now they all want to write him letters requesting toys. When Jesper notices this, he immediately begins passing out paper and pencils to the children, encouraging them to write messages that seem sorrowful. He keeps track on the wall of how many letters he delivers. Jesper visits Mr. Klaus at home, reads letters to him, makes him emotional, and persuades him to give the toys to the children Mr. Klaus agreed to give. At night, the kids of the village began to play with the clans of each other. Their parents notice this and separate them, as they belong to different clans. The kids are taken to the clan leaders. Clan head tells this should not happen again, otherwise they will face severe consequences. They're informed that clans aren't supposed to mix, and that tradition is the reason they keep fighting. When the kid inform Jesper that they do not know how to write or read, he sends them to Alva. Alva becomes very angry at Jesper, who later agrees to educate them. Meanwhile, the number of letters has expanded to the point where Jesper's horse can no longer carry the wagon. The next morning, the snowball boy confronts Jesper, demanding to know why he has been receiving coal instead of gifts. Jesper claims that because Klaus sees and knows everything, there is no need to tell him anything, and that if they are misbehaving, they won't get present. After knowing this, all the children get scared. The children start doing good deeds, helping each other to get toys from Mr. Klaus. Alva stop selling fish and start teaching Soon the town elders also used to live in harmony with each other, as did the village heads. Are dissatisfied with Jesper and Mr. Klaus. They make a plan to kill them because they were bringing peace and wealth to the town. So they attack them. Wagon loses its wheels in the process and they end up rolling over a cliffside. Christmas was also approaching. However, they are running out of toys. Jaspers tells Mr. Klaus to make a big delivery for Christmas, but Klaus doesn't agree, so the two of them argue. On the same night, both clans gather near the battle bell, ring the bell, and begin fighting amongst themselves. Jesper returns to the post office, finds a child named Margu is there. He eventually takes her to Alva in order that they will write her letter to Klaus in English. She needs a sled with a sail. Jesper brings the letter to Mr. Klaus' home and starts to make it look very poor. Klaus eventually takes pity and helps him. They bring the present to Margu's village and leave it outside her house. This time, Jesper stays behind with Mr. Klaus and watches her unwrap and play with the sled with her parents. Klaus eventually speaks about his wife Lydia when he returns home. They decided to leave the village because they wanted to establish a family. While they waited, he began making these toys for his own children, as they did not have any. After his wife died, he was very depressed. Klaus thanks Jesper for bringing happiness in his life and agrees to make toys for Christmas. He comes to schoolhouse and is amazed to see it, and Miss Alva totally transformed. Fish shop to school. Alva used up all her savings. She takes him the city, which looked very beautiful. Preparation for Christmas was going on and all the townspeople are in harmony with each other. Jasper developed feeling for Alva and didn't want to go away from Smeerensburg. Two clan head invited Jesper father, telling him that his son has delivered 14,000 letters since he has completed his task. He can go home. But he didn't wanted to return. Townpeople are very disappointed to learn about Jesper's truth. Alva yell at him, telling you fooled everyone so that you can go back to your luxurious life. And everyone leaves him alone and he returns home along with his father. His was very upset while returning to home, therefore his father realizes all the facts and tells him, I'm proud for you, go back to Smeerensburg. The clans arrive to destroy toys them. Jesper tries to stop all this. Meanwhile Mr. Crumb's gargantuan daughter, Pumpkin, almost falls to love Mrs. Ellingbo's son Olaf. Townspeople tell his we won. Jesper tells them to look back where they see two clan boy and girl are love with each other. Seeing this, their parents get shook. Alva found about town people set up as a result of the kids told her concerning it in school, so hid toys in safer place. Mr. Klaus forgave Jesper and they depart to deliver the gifts. They celebrate Christmas very happily. Pumpkin and Olaf get married.